Welcome to the Wisdom and Bloom podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kamisha. We're here with the lovely Denise. And today we are talking about midlife humor, midlife reinvention, and midlife comedy.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Maybe you want to be a midlife comedian.
Yes, absolutely.
With
absolutely.
our Is it something you've been thinking about, Denise? You sound very excited.
No, I'm not very humorous. I think I have humor by accident, by mistake. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we are talking to the lovely Lynn Harris today. And Lynn Harris is a culture shifting producer, award winning journalist, and author of 6 books. Oh my goodness, 6 books. I feel like I need to do more with my life. I've not written one book. Her
I,
comedy.
I,
Yes, you have to. Yes.
oh, look at her
Everyone has
face.
books.
Wait,
Everyone has books.
Lynn, did
Oh,
you see her face when she said
Looking
that?
at it.
Did you see it?
we have authors on this call. This is amazing.
Totally drink some hateration. I saw it.
Lynn's comedy and campaigns for social justice and gender equity have changed laws and conversations from Capitol Hill to NASCAR. Oh, wow. She is founder and CEO of Gold Comedy, the comedy school, professional network, and content studio where women and non binary creators grow their comedy careers, build powerful communities, and make funny stuff.
I love that. I love that.
I know. Harris co-created Breakup Girl, which was acquired by Oxygen. Okay, love that.
Yeah.
One of the first multi-platform internet success stories. And Lynn co-hosted with Gina Green the Forwards A Bental Brief, the podcast. Lynn has also served as the first VP of communications at global human rights group Breakthrough, where her blend of humor and advocacy powers some of the team's most effective U.S. campaigns. She has also worked as a lookalike for Tonya Harding, which is a long and I'm sure very interesting story. So let us welcome Lynn Harris to the podcast.
Thank you.
Welcome, Lynn. Apologize for my voice. We're both battling the tail end of a cold, but Kamisha seemed to have kept her beautiful voice, and mine became somewhat more like a construction worker or something.
But you do have great glasses, so there is that.
Makes up for it. I
There
know.
is
They are
that.
so cute. But I want to know, Lynn, about this Tonya Harding lookalike. Like, how? Please tell
Look,
us.
that is the first thing we want to know. Like, we don't even want to know anything else. That's the first thing we want. Let's just jump right in there.
How does one fall into becoming a lookalike for Tonya Harding?
Well, I did fall into it, and it is because I'm going to take you back to 1992
Okay.
when the whole Tanya and Nancy thing had just happened before the Olympics in Lillehammer, and I'm living in Boston, my hometown. I have blonde hair. Everything, all of my hair, anytime you see it, it's fake.
I was thinking that too. I was like, did she wear a wig? Like, what was her hair blonde?
It was blonde. And I was often seen walking around town with figure skates because I was a figure skater. And people, this is the short version, but people started like, I would be walking down the street with or without my skates, and people would slow down and roll down their window and say, "Hey, Tonya, go home." And I'd be like, "What the?" And I don't know, like if you search like later, if you search like my name and Tonya on the internet, there'll be pictures of like, this was years ago, but my face, I looked I really did. Like once I looked at it, I was like, oh, and it was crazy that I hadn't noticed because not only was I a skater, I was a big fan of hers. Like and I still am, which is kind of what makes this a more complicated story. But I couldn't believe that I hadn't noticed it. And like I used to quiz my kids when they would ask about it. I'd be like, which one is this? And they would get it wrong, you know? Like, is
It
this
looked
mommy?
like that much like her that your
Yeah, it
children
was weird.
did
It
not
was
notice.
weird. And when we were both much younger. And so it kind of quickly, this was the thing I would say, there are two sort of takes.
Mm-hmm.
One is on the context, and that is, this is, a time, remember, when like we had TV that had channels,
Yeah.
we had,
Yeah.
and like some cable, but not a lot, right? So when there was something going on, it was the only thing going on, like,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
so it's
Mhm.
hard. So like we had like three sources of information. And so it was easy for something that's not that interesting, which is that someone in Boston looks like Tonya Harding, to become a massive thing. And I wound up on all the talk shows. I was on Geraldo. I won a lookalike contest on Geraldo. I was on Ricky Lake. I mean, it was bananas. I was on all these radio shows for a lookalike. And it
This is
absolutely
crazy.
escalated into craziness. And so that's one thing, that was the context. It's hard to imagine how crazy it was, like the phone ringing off the hook. There were no cell phones. Like the phone was literally
Such a
ringing.
big story, though. I
I
don't
know,
know
it was. It
if
was.
you
It gave
remember,
them something
Denise.
else to say. In
Yeah,
fairness, like there were just, everyone was craving content. Well, we didn't call it content then, but everyone was craving
right,
content about this story. And all of a sudden,
right.
I mean, I get it. Like all of a sudden, there actually it was, something, that there
Yeah.
was someone who looked, a skater in Boston who looked exactly like her. But then the thing that that I was very sort of tormented, because on the one hand, I loved her. I mean, I
Mhm.
always admired her as a skater. I followed all of the, like, I didn't wait around to the Olympics. Like I followed like the worlds and the regionals, and
Yeah.
I knew what was up. And she was an excellent athlete, and her backstory was amazing. Like they had no money. She saved bottle caps to pay for her ice time, blah, blah, blah. Um, but at the same time, so I was asked to do these things that were very insulting to Tonya, like, because she's not the winner in this scenario, as you know. And
But she was not.
and also, and they were insulting to her in a way that, like, obviously was very sexist, very classist,
Mhm.
like,
Mm.
and I, separately, I could do a whole podcast episode with you guys about why I don't think she actually knew that those knucklehead friends of hers were planning this whole thing. You can
Mm.
just watch I, Tanya, and the ESPN special, and you'll know I'm in that camp. There was a really good ESPN special that laid that out.
Mm-hmm.
So but on the other hand, I was sort of an aspiring performer and creator, right? So I'm like, oh geez, I'm being asked to, like, there was also, I did all this national television and national radio and national this and national
Which
that,
is
and
great
kept,
exposure, right?
I know, and I kept not saying no, but I would kind of lie awake at night going blink, 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 like, what am I
Yeah.
doing? And so
Right.
the only thing that kind of saved it was, it actually gave me something to talk about. Like, because like if I would go on talk shows and they'd be like, so what's it like to look like Tonya Harding? I'd be like, well, you know, actually, I'm a huge fan of this young skater who succeeded against all odds. And, so at least it
Did
gave
you
me
have
something
any
to say.
friends that looked like
Mhm.
Nancy Kerrigan?
Nancy Kerrigan, no, but like actually, eventually I did, because there were a few other people like on the circuit. So I got to know the other like Nancy's and Tanya's that were like around, like getting cast for things. So we became this tiny little cabal. And then I wound up. The end of the story is that the end ish of the story is that it kind of petered out after a while.
Yeah.
Were you on the Geraldo show?
Yeah, a couple times.
I
Um,
see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I won a contest, and then they had me come back to play her in a mock trial, like a mock grand jury trial. And I it was crazy town. But in any case, I it kind of died down after a while, and I was getting ready to move to New York to work, to do comedy and publishing and magazine journalism. And so I was like, I feel like this phase is over. So I dyed my hair dark brown, like, just because it was beautiful, like whatever, chestnut color. Moved to New York, and then and then my roommate runs home one day with Backstage magazine and was like, "Lynn, look!" And there was an ad, and like a listing in the back of Backstage that was were auditioning for the part of Tonya Harding for a musical, and I was like, God damn it!
No.
So I auditioned and I got the part, and I had to dye my hair blonde again, which took like 5 hours because they had to lift out the dark brown, and it was so I wound up in this musical called The Musical Inquirer, written by the late great Hal Cohen, which kind of brought together all the other scandals of the time. It was that and like Mary Jo Buttafuoco
Yeah.
and Amy Fisher. I also played Mary Jo Buttafuoco, but anyway. But I was happy to do that because even though the whole thing was satire, excuse me, even though the whole thing was satire, he was kind of the writer, again, the late Hal Cohen was sort of very kind to both sides. Like he portrayed us both as kind of like doing our best with what we got, and then spoiler, we actually kind of in the story we kind of team up to tour together because that is, that's where we're going to really get rich and famous. So anyway, so and then I was blonde for however long I had to do that. I did that show, and then eventually it finally came to an end. But
were you sad that it came to an end, Lynn?
I mean,
how long
I
did
was
go
making
on?
literally $5 a show, so it was hard to give up that kind of cash. Yeah, it was. Yep, that's how much we were making. I had a blast. Honestly, I had a blast.
It sounds like fun, if nothing.
Yeah, it was
You know
fun.
what I
That
mean?
show was fun. I didn't feel bad about doing the show. It was really fun. I did feel bad. I was a little. My portrayal of Mary Jo Buttafuoco was less kind, but I was young.
Yeah. How long was the run? How long did it last?
Gee, I don't know. I mean, it was a real New York thing. It was for those New Yorkers listening, it was at Rose's Turn, which was I think part of this club still exists, but it's like it was upstairs at this old, like awesome old piano bar in the West Village, and a tiny little stage with little cocktail tables and tiny backstage. And downstairs is one of those places where like they do basically piano karaoke. Like they have a great pianist and it gets packed and, people come in after their shows and everyone sings, just makes requests and sings along, like such a New York thing. So it was so cool. I just moved to New York and it was the coolest thing it wasn't fancy, but it was like, this is what I moved here for, It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds great. It sounds amazing. And you literally fell into it.
And it kind of started, well, maybe not started, but propelled maybe your performance career, in a like such an unexpected way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never, honestly, nothing ever happened. Like no one was ever like, I saw you on Ricky Lake. Would you like to audition for my, serious work of art? But it did lead to the show at Rose's Turn, which I loved and met people that I, still know. And then I think as I was a writer also, and so I actually did write about it a lot because I thought about it a lot. Like I really thought about, what am I part of here? And whether it was me writing about kind of the, criticizing the really kind of classist and misogynist critique of her, or whether it was just feeling, sort of exposed, like confessing my own guilt or whatever it was. There was a lot to talk about if you're someone like me who is really into thinking about like pop culture and what it actually means and why it's important. Then this was interesting, objectively. So I did get to, I'm not sure it led directly to like my showbiz career, but it did gave me a lot to think about, and it affirmed my commitment to being part of pop culture that matters.
Right. So, okay. So that I heard you say in there that you wrote a lot, and I know in your bio it says that you are a co-author or author of 6 books. What type of books are they? Give us a little journey of these books.
Yeah, let me see if I can remember. Okay, so the first one, this goes back to 1992. Okay, so the first one was back in this is all gonna like age me so much, but I mean, nothing's wrong with being old. I'm just saying.
What's wrong with being Midlife and Magic?
Well, everybody on this call remembers 1992.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that long ago to us.
So the first one was about,
so like 1992 was the only year I wasn't pregnant.
Yeah. What a year. I was running around, I was riding horses, I was playing tennis. Uh, the first one we actually started in, a friend of mine and I started in college, and it was actually a cookbook that showed you how to take the stuff that they already had in the college cafeteria and reassemble it and make what you want. Because back in the day, now they're like fancy. Now they have like whole food courts going on, but back then we had like a salad bar and a microwave, and like some peanut butter. So like if they had plain pasta, you could add some peanut butter and maybe some soy sauce and make some peanut noodles, um, and things like that. So we had these simple recipes that you could. This book is, on the one hand, still in print, which is ridiculous, but on the other hand, completely irrelevant now that they have fancy dining halls everywhere. And then there were a couple that were, I guess there are two comic novels with the same girl detective whose name is Lola Somerville. So that's two of them. And then two of them are compilations, or two of them are related to Breakup Girl, who is the superhero that my creative partner Chris Kolb and I created, who is, we have superheroes who can bend steel bars. How about one who can mend broken hearts? So
Breakup Girl.
So she came out of a book that Chris and I did that was a guide to surviving a breakup. That was in '96, and that turned into website, acquired by Oxygen, television show, live show, like huge thing, huge kind of cultural moment in the later '90s, and then also another book. So then we published a compilation of the advice that was on our website, and so it really was like, it was a website before, like, we understood, before
Understood
before
what
the
websites
web
would really do for you.
Yeah.
So you said it became a show.
Yep. We had on Oxygen, we were part of their animation block. Like, we had an animated. She was we did a live show at a club in New York, but the show that we had on Oxygen was part of their. It was like kind of like their animation block was kind of like Night Swim on MTV with like
Yes.
little interstitials, kind of short episodes. And so we had a series on that one with Breakup Girl, going to the rescue of we used real letters that I got for the advice column and developed them into stories for the show, which was great.
Now that is cool. Do you still write, Lynn?
I was a journalist for 25 years, so I still do, like, it still comes naturally to me. I don't have as much time to, like, write and sell articles as I used to when I had to for my, food and shelter. But I still love to. I mean, I'm always writing something. It might be marketing copy, and I do like communications consulting where I help other people write what they need to write. But and I still do. I don't do stand up really because it is, wow, you have to stay up late a lot. But I do storytelling sometimes, like comic storytelling, and that's I spend more time writing the story than I do. I never like practice, I just, so it's the writing part where I really enjoy, like, thinking of what are my word choices and how am I timing, like, what's the timing of the writing so that the audience tracks the story and has the emotional reaction I want them to have at what time. And that part is really fascinating to me. So I still do that.
Do you know comic storytelling? Kamisha, had you ever heard of that before? I've never heard of it.
Well, I just mean stories that are funny, right? Like, sometimes if you say storytelling, people think of like people sitting around a campfire or like telling earnest fables, and that's not me. Like, it's like The Moth. I like to do stories like like you might hear on the Moth Radio Hour. Not always funny, but the ones that are really funny.
I find that so interesting. So I know we're going to talk about comedy in a second, and gold comedy. But as a person, when we joked about it a little bit in the beginning, but as the one person on here who has not written a book, well, I mean, I've written a couple of ebooks, but I don't want to count that.
You should.
So if there are women who have always wanted to write something, right? Maybe they've always wanted to write a book, or they've always wanted to write a script, or they've had this idea for like a TV show or something. Um, what advice can you give to them to just kind of get over themselves
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and do it?
yeah.
Say that they, especially if we're talking about something like a TV show, or maybe a web series, or maybe a film, I can say with certainty that they have all the tools they need to do that, or or they have access to all the tools that they need to do that. The most important one is having lived some life.
Mm.
And even if the idea they have is not directly autobiographical, still, the wisdom, just knowing stuff.
Yeah.
Even the process of writing, I think, is easier when you're older. I think it's easier not to be a perfectionist as you write, and it's easier to kind of crank out what we love to call a vomit draft of
Mm-hmm.
anything, where
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, I know, I'll fix it. I just need to get it out, and then I'll fix
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And specifically, and the reason I'm quite sure of this is that we have, and it's very advertorial right now, but it's true. This is where I'm getting my information. We have a class at Gold Comedy called Develop and Pitch Any Idea, which is taught by an amazing woman named Ryan Cunningham, who was producer of Broad City, Search Party, Inside Amy Schumer, Flatbush Misdemeanors, Fancy. She's really accomplished, and also film and stage shows. And she that class actually attracts a lot of women in their 40s and up. And
Mm-hmm.
um because what the class does, it's not, the final product of the class is an industry standard, practiced, polished pitch for your show, or your idea. Actually, it could even be a podcast, whatever it is. Typically it's a TV show or a web series or a film. Most typically TV show, but you can really do what you want. But it's not just a pitching class, because some people come into the class with just the tiniest seedling of an idea that's
Mhm.
stuck, in their mind, stuck on their heart, stuck in a drawer, whatever it is, for decades even.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Maybe now they're in an empty nest. Maybe now they have reached a point in their career where they're not grinding anymore. Maybe they're just bored. Maybe it's just like, I got all this creativity, and where am I going to put this?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, and I gotta
so
release it.
yeah, and so there's a really strong cohort of women like that in this class every time. And Ryan, who used to teach, she developed the class at a college. It's a college level class, but she developed it in a college at Rhode Island School of Design. And she said, I love those kids. They were amazing. They were full of energy. They were great. But she's like, but I love my older women. She's just like, they bring so much, again, even if the class isn't, sorry, even if their idea isn't directly autobiographical, they bring so much of just lived life.
Yeah, experience, life
Ideas, and
experience.
they're
Yeah.
fearless about just trying things, and seeing what happens, and just jumping in, and putting so much energy into their projects, and perfecting their, just rigorously developing their ideas. And it's really something. So that's, again, my advice is take that class. But my point is, and people come out of the class with, they win awards for their pitches. They win awards. They write the pilot. They win awards for that. They get their shows into development. Um,
Wow.
Actually, they have results. It's not just a creative outlet. Like, they get results. Um,
Right.
and but what I so yeah, my advice is take the class. But what I'm but my encouragement, regardless, is that, like, you're not too old. You didn't miss something. You didn't miss some chance. like they're not all, and like the industry in quotes, like the entertainment industry, Hollywood, whatever you want to call it, is really kind of casting about now. Like they don't know what they don't have, like everyone says the industry is in flux, and it is. And so it actually really is a time. It's like not everyone can get their show made easily automatically, but it is a time where people are where there are not more non-traditional ways of getting your ideas seen. There are less gate kept ways of getting your stuff seen and considered. And they're actually looking more and more for people, honestly, that stories that aren't just like the same old straight white dudes. And they're not saying that like, okay, well, you have to, like, I don't know, if your dad didn't go to Harvard, didn't work on the Lampoon with everybody else at the Simpsons, like it's not like
Right.
that as much. So it's you didn't miss anything. Like now's the time. You can do it.
Yeah, I think that's the key right there, right? You didn't miss anything. You're never too old. I
Mm-hmm.
feel even, women who are 40 or 50, they do think that. They're like, "Oh no, that was a dream I had when I was
Yeah. Yeah.
younger. Who wants to hear from me now? Do people really think I have anything to say?"
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's just this misconception that all good things come from young people because that's not
Yeah.
really how
I
it
mean,
works.
they're adorable, but like really, what do they know? I mean, okay, so
Do
let me
you
tell you the
think?
story. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Denise.
No, I was going to say that. Do you think that once we get into our midlife, um, that it actually makes us funnier because we have all this life experience
Mm,
and stories to tell?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I just feel like we, on the one hand, nobody listens to us. On the other hand, that's good because we're not censoring ourselves anymore.
mhm.
And like being invisible gives you a lot of freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to the degree that like that we
Mm.
get discounted,
Right, nobody's expecting anything really.
Mhm.
right? Then who cares?
Right.
Right.
So I think it's a real opportunity, and I think that I definitely. I mean, there's still a lot of pressure on us to like. It's just as you get older, it's like there's different kinds of freedoms and different kinds of pressures with every
Mhm.
decade or every
Mhm.
stage,
Mhm.
right? So like, of
Every
course,
milestone.
right. So on the one hand, of course, I'm like, hey, we're all out of F's. It's amazing. On the other hand, well, no, there's still all this pressure to like look young, be
Mhm.
skinny. Like
Mhm.
it's like not over. Like we're not that okay. But in our minds, we at least have more grounding of like, I don't know. I do think of course, we still care about what people think of us. Sure, of course. Like it's not like I don't want to overstate the like incredible, you know, uh, wild freedom dances that we're all,
Yeah.
but I do think it's sort of impossible not to care less about some things.
Yes.
I do think we objectively at some stage have a little, many of us are fortunate enough to have a little more time, you know? Um, and if it's a privilege, but you might,
Well,
and
some of it is around estrogen. Like we've,
yeah,
learned a little bit around as your estrogen levels drop, so does giving a shit, right? The
Yeah.
yeah,
how much you care, that also drops as
yeah.
your
And,
estrogen.
and just to put another point on it, I also think that we're all like, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, like we're kind of mad, you
Mhm.
know, like we're kind of
Mm.
fed up,
A
like
little
we're
bit angry.
of
What do
just
you
like,
mean?
I
Bad?
mean, I have had it, and
No, fed up. Just don't have the fucks to give all the time to everybody all the time.
and all the like mediocre young straight white men who get like important jobs for having done
Oh,
absolutely
well, yeah.
nothing, and meanwhile we have more experience than they can, that than I lost track of the metaphor, but like we have more experience than they, whatever that expression is, that like we could do. I mean, come on, Pete Hegseth, we could do that job so much zero experience in the, come on,
Actually, we could because he used to be a podcast host,
Mhm.
I'm saying,
so we could do that.
I mean, just all these dipshits, and like it makes me even angrier now,
Hmm. Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
right.
or like young, and no shade to the individuals necessarily. Yes, shade to Pete Hegseth, but like when like just younger dudes who are just like, oh, I can do that, and versus women who are like, well, I can do most of it, but let
Yeah.
me, and just being so tired of all that, and so
Yeah.
just I'm honest, just that, and I'm tired of fighting for the same stuff that we fought for in the 80s and the 70s, and all this. So I think we're driven. There's a whole mix of stuff that is really sometimes upsetting, but always energizing. Right? Not always energizing. Sometimes it's exhausting. Let me take that back. It is all often exhausting, but there's still some there's always some sort of electricity, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we need to rest, and we need our we need our self-care in whatever,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
form. But there's
Gotta drink
something,
our water.
yeah, but there's something motivating. I think it's just as motivating to be angry as it is to be psyched to have more time, or
Mm-hmm.
psyched to be more creative, because you can still channel that into something.
Oh yeah, anger is a very valuable emotion.
Yeah.
I think when
With
we're younger, people are telling you, don't be so mad. What are you so upset about?
Yeah, you
You should
got
be
your
mad.
whole life in
No,
front
you
of
should,
you. What are you
right.
so upset? Mhm.
It's like, no, I need to be mad. This is something I should be upset about, and I need to channel this anger into something positive, because that's
Yeah.
how a lot of things get done, right? People get upset, they get fed up, they've had enough, and they're like, no, I'm not taking this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Something needs to
Mm-hmm.
happen. But I want to talk a little bit then, Lynn, now about your gold comedy.
Sure.
And I don't know. I like this conversation because I can feel like your energy and your desire to let women know that there's so much more, right? Like there's so much more that we can be doing. We have all these different phases and stages, and whether you use your anger or your humor or whatever, right? Like there's so many things that you can be doing. So what prompted you to move into starting this gold comedy business? And I know you touched on one of the programs that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
very popular.
So, you mentioned it earlier. Thank you for asking. So what we have here is we have a comedy school, meaning that it's mostly online. We have a ton of classes,
Mm-hmm.
um, in all different kinds and aspects of comedy. We have a professional network, so we're also here to sort of help you make introductions, and say, oh, you want to do this? Let me have you talk to this person.
Is it only for women or is it for anyone?
We're designed for women. We exclude no one.
Oh.
The thing that what we do exclude is bro vibe. There's no bro vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Good. We don't need that.
because for a couple of reasons. I mean, we say that we're designed primarily for women, non-binary creators, and like what we call others,
Yeah.
because comedy is hard for everyone. It's hard for everyone. It's still harder than it should be for people who are not straight white dudes, and I would like to help fix that. And so through our classes and our network and our studio, we work with our members to create to help them actually create content as well, and distribute their content. The idea is we're helping individuals with their careers, grow their careers and their creative side hustles. In the big picture, um, it's because comedy, yes, is a distraction and a fun thing that we need, but it's also a powerful cultural force.
Mm,
It challenges and changes perceptions. It drives cultural tastes and norms,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so it really matters who makes it,
Yeah.
and it matters. It matters who makes it, no matter if we see them or not, and it also matters, like the choices that get made about the behind the scenes, but it also matters who we see
Yeah.
doing comedy, because it normalizes all sorts of different people who may not be normal to you. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
like if you are a tourist, who comes from like a mostly white community, which fine, come to New York, and if you're lucky, and you go to comedy. If you're lucky, you see a diverse show. You may not, but if you're lucky, you just see a super diverse show. And it may not be that often that you,
Right.
and I don't want to like oversimplify this, but it may not be that often that you actually um enter into an agreement, where like a social unspoken agreement, where you have to listen to a woman for 8 minutes, or you have to listen to a person of color for 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just that, and or a person, who I don't know, a person who's even more, unfamiliar to you, someone trans, someone, a trans person of color, whatever it is, right?
Right.
And and I know the idea is to be entertained, but just the fact like you're absorbing a new experience of like, oh, this person's talking, I'm listening to them. They might
Right.
even be talking about anything political or what it's like to be queer or whatever it is. They might just be talking about the same stuff that comics talk about, like their weird family or whatever it is. But just that, to normalize who's on stage,
Mm-hmm.
with the power of the mic,
Mhm,
and to
mhm.
normalize that being very like diverse and different is huge. um
Mhm.
and it's true that many a lot of and this is true of all comedy. I'm using stand up as an example, but because it's so familiar and so accessible.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea is to help individuals succeed, but by doing so, um build a bigger funnel and kind of flood the zone with women and others who have who have presence and power in the comedy world, which makes comedy better and makes the world better.
Mhm.
Do you have, Lynn, do you have women that come that are in their midlife and over 40, over 50, and they've dreamed of doing something in the comedy space forever, but of course, life is life in. And so now the kids are gone, or they're divorced, or the hubby is, retired. Things are happening, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. But once they get in there, they start feeling as if that dream has passed. How do you get the women to get that spark back, to let them know that it's never too late, and if comedy is where you want to be, you can do this? How do you get them to get that? How do you help them to achieve that spark back?
Welcome to my cat, first of all. Hope nobody's allergic. um Honestly, once they show up, we don't have to
Mhm.
tell them that.
Mm.
It doesn't, they don't doubt themselves once they show up and they're in a place like, it's
That's
one
the
thing.
step, right? It's actually getting them to sign up to do it, to say, "I can do this. This is my."
Mhm.
Right. We will never know how many women quit. We will never know how many women were like, I'm going to try to go into some open mics, and they
Yeah.
went to the mic in their town or their city, and it was all, it was a bunch of 25-year-old straight white dudes. Maybe
Mhm.
these dudes were very nice and very funny. We don't know,
Mhm.
but like they might feel like, oh, these aren't my people. And they might just not. It might be hard for them to find their crew, for them to like really just find their lane, find their place,
Mhm.
and they might
Mhm.
just kind of fade away. We're the opposite of that. So we show up, you show up with us, and we're not the only people who say this, but we, especially when it comes to stand up, we say we want you to write jokes that only you can write. We're here for you. We're your fans. We're
Wow.
your crew. Um,
Only you can write according to your experience, your life experience. Is that what you? Okay.
right, and your style, right? Because like honestly, is a little unfair, but like comics basically talk about like the same five topics,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's life stuff. So,
Mhm.
but it's not the topics, it's your spin, it's your take, it's your vibe, it's your energy, it's your word choices,
Mhm.
it's your point of view, it's everything you bring to it.
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
so
because
we
I hear comments going, "But he stole my joke," and I'm like, I've been on this earth for 60 years, and Kamisha knows that one thing I love to do is listen to comedy shows, and I've listened to so many comedy shows and have heard the same type of joke among probably five or six people.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I never felt like the joke was stolen. I
Mhm.
just felt like we're all over 40, over 50 and going through the same shit. We're all having the same experience. The
Experiences.
the
Mhm,
setting may be different, the environment is different, the characters are different, but the situation is the exact same. I'm having a hot flash and I don't feel like being bothered. You're having a hot flash and you don't feel like being bothered. Our situation is the same. We're just in a different setting, you know?
mhm.
and you might come up with the same joke once in a while. Like it might
Exactly.
happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's true. That's true. But like I'm thinking of someone named Rocky who she's 50, 51. She takes care of her grandkids. She has an adult son with extra needs. She's a retired high school art teacher. I don't remember how she found us, but she came and she basically, this is what the way she tells it is that she said, I knew I was funny, but I didn't know, and boy is she, I didn't know how to write a joke. Like I didn't know how to do the math,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Learning the craft of
right, and
creating.
practicing, right? And so she came and she worked her butt off. She holds the record for taking our stand-up boot camp class, I think 10 times.
Wow.
She also has like subbed as the teacher at this point. No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and once she knew the mechanics, she just kept taking it for the accountability and the structure. And
Yeah.
we do have other stand-up classes and she's taken them all, but she did it for just to make her write and practice and write and practice and write and practice. And she lives in North Carolina, and I'm in New York, and I finally met her this fall because she came to New York to do her first half-hour solo show as part of a solo show festival here in New York. That was actually run by another one of our instructors, Iris
Mm-hmm.
Barr. So like she's on and she's doing it now. Like she's doing it. It's not like, oh, I do it. It's not a hobby. Like she's doing it. Um, so
How was the show? Did she do great?
it was so, it was so good. It
Mm-hmm.
was so good. So we're working on maybe sort of helping her do more with it and develop. In fact, she's in the class now that
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling you about. So we're seeing what she can develop it into. Maybe I'm like, I've always told her that like you need your own TV show, and I don't say that to like a lot of. There's not a lot of people I would like to watch on TV all day. um,
But you're like, I would watch you.
I would
You would
watch
be
Rocky.
interesting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what classes would you say women should start with your, based on your different programs
I
and
mean,
stuff?
I'm
Are there any beginner
biased.
classes or not
I mean,
necessarily?
yeah, I'm biased towards stand up because that's where I developed most of my comedy. I was a
Mm-hmm.
stand up for 10 years, and that's where I just like good old fashioned jokes, really. Um, I've dabbled in all the other stuff, sketch and improv, and obviously storytelling and things
Love
like that.
improv. That's one
I
of my
like improv. I'm
favorites.
terrible at improv, but I love to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
Love to
I'm not good either, but we play game when we do game night here at the house during the
fun.
holidays. We have a game where we do improv where we like you have to pick out some words out of a cards and then we have to make this scene about it.
That's
And
awesome.
it's hilarious, but yeah, I'm the worst.
Mhm.
I'm the worst.
It's
I
fun
don't
to
get out enough. I don't think I get out enough.
um
Have enough.
Well, you can come take one of our improv classes if you want, with Benita, who's great. We always, and again, so I'm biased a little bit, but our stand-up boot camp class was the first class that we developed. I developed it before even we had the whole structure of gold. And we always recommend that people start with that, even if they've done stand-up. Because we designed it so that it's as evidenced by Rocky, like you won't be bored if you already do stand up because we partly teach it the way everyone else teaches it, like the
Mhm.
same like basic setup punch structure, everyone does that. But we have some innovations that we do, and so then it kind of gives you a language that you can use when you take the other classes that or when you do other projects that translate, like they're just skills that they're transferable skills, right? Like the sharp writing, writing sharp, writing concise, writing short. Listening is such a big part of stand up, and that's really a big part of any kind of comedy or just life. um uh just how to develop an idea, like how to take a bit of a joke and work it into a whole thing is also what you do in a sketch and when you escalate, right? So it's really just transferable skills. So we recommend that everyone takes that class, just to kind of, and also just to like meet people. But you can start with anything. We have we have a few different levels of stand up. We have several levels of sketch. We sometimes do improv. We do storytelling. We have late night writing. We have how to create a web series,
Mhm.
which is a big deal these days. We have
everybody wants a web series, a mini web series now.
Yep, it's because you can make one. It's not that hard to actually make one. You don't.
And of course, Issa Rae started on
exactly
online,
Go to
right?
Broad City. Yeah, exactly.
Her web series, and it's huge now.
Yep, and Drunk History also. And we have How to Host, because that's like a whole different ball of wax, from not just doing stand up, but from hosting stand up shows. We occasionally get into comedy about trauma. We do how to develop a solo show. We have a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then we also,
if someone wanted to sign up, they would just go to the Go Comedy website, and you have them all listed out, and they can sign. We're going to make sure we have all of that information in the show notes.
Yes, I will make sure you have it, and I will even send over a discount code or two.
Yeah, we would love that. We would love that. So that was a great question. Where to begin? I'm over 50, and I want to dip my toe into comedy. I stumble across your website, but I have no clue where to start. I don't know the first thing, where to start. And I know you're saying that you have all of these different classes, but I have no clue. And I just stumbled upon it because I heard you speaking on the wonderful Wisdom and Bloom podcast. So where do I start first? Would stand up boot camp be my first, or where would I start?
It's really funny that you would ask it that way, because the top line of the description of Stand Up Boot Camp says, "Don't know where to start? Start here." And
okay, there you go.
The first thing you do, and actually you get this as like a free gifty when you join, is you get a list, and this is why I promise it's accessible to everybody. You get a list of, we've developed a list of 100 writing prompts. And they're not necessarily funny themselves. They're like, you should be my friend because, or I'm really scared about, or things like that what you might write is, I'm really scared about war. Like, that's not, we know that's not funny, but the point is, if the exercise is to go through and just like write down whatever comes to mind first.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter, don't censor yourself. Right. And then you'll find that you had, like, there will be something that makes you laugh, or maybe there's just something that you have like a strong emotional response to, and not an unpleasant emotional response, but something that like triggers something in you. And then you go back and highlight that one, and you go, and then that's like that. Then you're like, okay, so maybe that topic, about being the middle child, I don't know, is where you kind of start to dig and start to practice once you start learning this joke mechanics and stuff like that. So we generate it all from stuff that is your life, on which you are, I promise, the expert.
Yeah.
So it's totally accessible.
Yeah, I love that. Well, in your experience, what changes when women, especially midlife women, take up space in comedy and on stages and in storytelling? What shifts in the culture? Because that space is theirs, and I feel like it's been waiting for them. It's reserved for them, and not enough of us have representation of midlife women out there doing it. So, what do you think changes in a woman when she says, I'm going to take up this space in comedy?
I think it changes everything. I mean, I think what's magic about that is that, I don't know, maybe you have been taking up space. Like, we come from all different experiences, right? Some people are like, it's not a big deal. Some people, it is a huge deal, right? But no matter what, whether it's a breakthrough for you or not, it's still a big deal for the people around you.
Yeah.
It's still a big deal for, like, other people going like, oh shit, a woman's taking up space, so
here she comes.
Like, a woman is talking now,
when will they shut up, these women?
Yeah. So that's so it's kind of like, no matter, it's a win-win, whether you're accustomed to it or not. And that's what's great about, like, and again, we don't exclude anybody, but the vibe that we create is one where you don't have that you don't have the vibe of like, when will she stop talking? Like, that is just not, it is not something that occurs. So And I can't say that about all spaces in comedy, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to give you that experience. Like, we've all been there. Like, we've all known how it feels to, know that you're not supposed to be, even if we're accustomed to taking up space in one place but not another.
Yep.
There is that feeling of like, I always think of it as like, the metaphor is on The Simpsons when Marge goes to Rancho Relaxo and she on for vacation, like I think Homer gives, I think it's a present, I can't remember. And she starts out she like lies down on the bed and she starts out lying like a sardine on like a tiny side of the bed because she's used to Homer taking up the whole other side.
Mm-hmm.
And then she like looks over and she's like, wait a minute. And she totally like snow angels, on the
Mm-hmm.
whole bed. And it's and no matter what your starting point is, you and what your own vibe is, we've all lived in the world where you're not supposed to take up space, right? And so that feeling that we provide is you have all the space you need. Be as loud as you want, be as quiet as you want, whatever you're you don't have to change who you are to be funny, and you don't have to change who you are to be here.
I love it.
I love that. You don't have to change who you are to be funny, because I think people feel like there's personalities to comedians. And so even if you might think you're funny, like you use an example of one of your students, oh, she's like, I always thought I was funny. And other people might say, oh, you're funny. But they're like, but I'm not like funny like
funny,
I'm not funny like Eddie
I'm
Murphy.
like funny like
Right. Like I don't know if that's who I am. I don't know if I'm that kind of funny,
Yeah.
And I love that you actually have
watch a few Netflix specials and you'll see like how different comics are from
Oh my God, so different.
And like Aparna Nancherla is like by nature nervous and shy, and she's hilarious.
Yeah.
Versus others who are like, Amy Schumer loud, like there's so many or just loud and doesn't give a shit. Like that kind of, there's if you just watch for 10 minutes, you'll see like, okay, I don't they all just did what they do. They just kind of took who they already were and multiplied it by 1.5
I had watched this comedy show on TV of, oh my God, I cannot think of her name. I even read her book. Oh my God, she's
Maria Bamford.
She's the writer of the show where there's a black African woman. She's a nurse and she falls in love with the white guy who was a patient.
Hold on.
That story. Was it on cable?
Yeah, it's on TV. It's I watch it all the time and I can't think of it.
Okay.
Okay, it's not St. Dennis. It's not, because the supervising producer of St. Dennis is one of my favorite comics, actually. Naomi Ekperigin. Shout out.
I can't think of her name, but
she's a stumper.
But she's a black girl. She's actually Nigerian, and she lived in the UK. And
Gina Yashere.
That's her. Boom. That's exactly her.
Give me another.
One more.
I love her. I love her.
And so I was watching this show, and she plays a supporting role in this show, and it is so good and so funny, and she is hilarious. And I was like, who is this lady? And then I started digging into her life and found out that she wrote this show. She created this show. Yes.
I can't believe I didn't know that.
And she's a stand-up comic, so I start watching her specials. Hilarious. She's over 40. I think she may be 50. Hilarious. And I felt like, and she talks about, being black, being midlife, being gay, being in the UK as a Nigerian, and just all the things that she has went through, all of her life experience that was on one hand almost horrible, but on the other hand, she found humor in it, and she's telling her story, and it's just amazing. I have to find out the title of the show.
Yeah, I can't believe I don't know it. I know her stand up real well. We teach her, like we literally like teach stand up from videos of her. she's such a sharp writer.
Hilarious.
Yeah, her writing is like really easy to break down and analyze according to like the mechanics that we teach, you can kind of pull it apart and see what she's doing and why she's so skillful at it.
Well, you bring up, I mean, she's a perfect example of why she's so funny, because she's
Yeah.
had all of these lived experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
From
Mm-hmm.
whatever her background is to, now through her life that she can
Mm-hmm.
actually pull from, that makes her so funny. So, I hope that encourages women who might be thinking, I don't know if I have anything to share, if I'm funny. It's like, your life is your story. Your
Yeah.
life is where your comedy will come from.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, through Gold Comedy or one of the workshops or something, that you can find that story. You can find a way to pull that out of you and
Yep.
share it with other people in a way that is humorous,
Yep. Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure. Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been great, Lynn. I am so excited to share this information with our Wisdom and Bloom audience, because I don't know that women think so much about comedy. I think there are some women that have always kind of been naturally interested in entertainment, or maybe have been told they were funny. But I think, especially at this age, you're kind of like, I don't know if that's for me. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you've been so encouraging. And even just the fact that you know that there are so many stories for women and so many ways that they can share their humor, that you have created this platform, Gold Comedy, for them, speaks to all that they have to contribute,
Yep.
Totally.
at this stage in their life, for sure.
Totally. There are so many, and I could just list them all. I mean, I told you about a couple, Rocky, but there are so many more Billy wrote a great pilot that got her representation, that's in development, that's based on her, herself, and her ADHD. It's called Batshit Debbie, which is the best title in the world. And she does some stand up, and she has a long background in public health. She has a teenage kid. Like, she didn't, she's not like a 25-year-old recent college
Yeah.
grad,
Yeah.
so, she came to it later in the game, and she's doing great,
Yeah.
for example.
The
Yeah.
show is called Bob Hart's Abishola.
Oh, I can't believe I don't know that show. All right, I'm gonna
That's
look
the
it up.
name of the show.
Bob.
Bob Hart's Abishola. Mm-hmm.
Thanks
Yeah.
for the tip.
Hilarious.
That's cute.
Mhm.
Well, as we wind down now, Lynn, is there anything else you wanted to share? Anything you wanted to give? Any advice you wanted to give to women, or anything else you wanted to share about Go Comedy, or anything else that you're doing that you want to let our Wisdom and Bloomers know about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. I would just reiterate that you don't have to be a certain way
Yes.
in order to be funny. You don't have to change anything about yourself. You don't have to be less shy. You don't have to be more confident. You just have to kind of be game to see what happens.
Yeah.
And if you're serious about it, then ready to do the work. Like Rocky, which she did. But people have time and energy now, so it would not be wasted time and energy to try out a comedic side hustle and see where it goes.
Yeah. The comedic side hustle. Your midlife side hustle in
Right,
comedy.
Your midlife comedic side hustle.
right.
In
Kind of rolls off
comedy.
the tongue.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. And as I always say, we reserve the right to bring you back sometime.
I accept. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Wrap us up, Kamisha.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Lynn, for all of the wonderful wisdom that you have shared, and encouragement for
Yeah.
women to get out there and to do something with comedy. If it's something that's, they've always been interested in, or just thought a little bit about, or said, hey, maybe, or maybe they want to write, maybe they
Yeah.
don't want to be like on the stage. Maybe they
Don't
want to
have
be
Or
you don't
behind
have
the
improv.
scenes.
You don't have to
Right.
stay up late even. You can do it.
No.
Like, I was just talking to someone who wrote her book from 7 to 8 every morning while she was pregnant with her now 14-year-old.
Mhm.
That was it. She just did it in tiny little
Mhm.
tiny little tidbits, and she got it done. Like, there's writing, there's production. People are really
Mhm.
good. Like, we're good at managing stuff generally, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not too late to figure out how to produce your web series, even if you
Mhm.
or produce someone else's web series.
Yeah.
Even if you don't picture yourself as the writer or the talent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
it's all out
Absolutely.
there.
Yes, that's true. Very much so. Very much so. Well, thank you again. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Be encouraged. Go visit goldcomedy.com to find out more about all the wonderful programs that Lynn and her team have available for you. And hopefully, you can find something that you feel comfortable joining or signing up for.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
just finding a different side of yourself, right? I think at this stage, it's always nice, too, to learn something different about ourselves, right? And who, even if you aren't thinking you're a comedian, there might be some talent there that you didn't even know, right, kind of existed or was like buried under there. So definitely stop by.
Yeah.
And as we always say at the end, Denise,
Blooming
keep
lady.
blooming, ladies.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.